imagine like working 12-hour shifts every single day of the week
Oh, wow.
during Croatia's crazy tourist season
Yeah.
and still barely making ends meet.
Yikes.
Well,
Yeah.
that's exactly what a lot of Croatian hospitality workers
Right.
are dealing with right now, and it's been a problem for a while now.
Okay.
So today we're going to do a deep dive into this whole thing.
Okay. That's good.
Using this article from a Croatian culinary website
Okay.
called Itrukani Pelin.
What does that mean?
It means wormwood strudel in English.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so the article's called Na otrici noža kako jadolo do toga,
Okay.
which basically translates to on the knife's edge. How did it come to this?
Wow. Dramatic title.
Yeah, and the author is like this veteran Croatian hospitality worker
Okay.
who breaks down 5 key factors that are
Good.
contributing to this whole worker shortage.
Okay.
And luckily, I've got an expert in labor trends and economics
Oh, that's me.
to help us unpack all this stuff.
Happy to be here.
Well,
I think this is going to be a really relevant conversation for a lot of countries,
oh, yeah.
with big tourist industries.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So the article kind of jumps right in and starts talking about low wages.
Okay.
And the author makes this point that it's not just about the low pay.
It's not.
It's like a symptom of a much bigger problem.
So what is it then?
I was hoping you could tell me.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Well, we got to think about something called a tight labor market.
Okay.
Basically, what that means is there are more jobs available than people who actually want to work,
Right.
which is what's going on in Croatia right now.
Gotcha.
And when that happens,
Mm-hmm.
workers have way more leverage.
Okay.
They can push for things like higher wages,
Yeah,
better benefits, and just like better working conditions overall.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the article mentions that some places in Croatia are starting to raise wages to try and attract and keep staff.
Okay.
But, like, are there any real success stories out there?
There are actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
So one that comes to mind is this restaurant group in Dubrovnik.
Okay.
They went ahead and increased wages by 15% across the board.
Wow, that's a big jump.
It is. Yeah, they were a little hesitant at first.
I
But you know what? It actually ended up making them more money in the long run.
Oh, wow. How?
Well, for one, their employee turnover went way down.
Okay.
So they didn't have to spend as much on hiring and training new people.
That makes sense.
Plus, they saw this increase in customer satisfaction.
Oh.
Yeah, because they had more experienced and happier staff.
That's awesome.
The win-win
It is.
for the workers and the business.
That's so great to hear.
Yeah.
So what about this next factor that the article brings up?
Yeah.
Under-the-table payments.
Oh, right.
The author claims this is a pretty widespread issue in Croatia.
Is it?
Like, how big of a problem are we talking here?
It's pretty big because it feeds into this thing called the shadow economy.
The shadow economy.
Yeah, so basically it's like all this economic activity that's happening under the radar.
Okay.
It's unreported and untaxed.
So not only are workers probably getting underpaid,
Right.
but the government is also missing out on tax revenue
Exactly.
that could be used for important public services.
A big loss all around.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and for the workers, it means they're not getting Social Security contributions,
Right.
and they don't have a real employment history.
Which can make it hard, too.
It can make it really tough to get loans
Yeah.
or access other financial services.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and the article even says that the pandemic lockdowns
Mm-hmm.
were like a missed opportunity for the Croatian government to crack down on this whole under-the-table thing.
Oh, that's interesting.
It is, yeah.
But I guess even with all the downsides,
Right.
some workers might still prefer that
Mhm.
under-the-table arrangement.
Yeah, I can see why.
Because it could mean more take-home pay.
Right? At least in the short term.
Yeah,
It's a tough situation.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the third factor.
Okay.
The article highlights something called toxic work environments.
Toxic.
Yeah, it paints this picture of like conflicts and cliques,
Really?
even bullying
Wow.
in some Croatian kitchens and dining rooms.
I mean, I guess it's not super surprising.
No.
Not really,
Okay.
High-pressure environments like that,
Yeah.
they can sometimes bring out the worst in people,
It's especially...
especially if there's nothing in place to like, prevent that kind of stuff.
I see.
So things like a lack of clear workplace policies,
Mm-hmm.
ineffective management, poor communication,
Right.
and just plain bad behavior
Yeah.
can all contribute to a really toxic workplace.
You'd think in a kitchen where everyone has to work together,
You would think, right?
there would be more like...
Like more teamwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, more camaraderie.
Yeah.
But according to this article, that's not always the case.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what can be done about it?
Well, the article really stresses the importance of open communication,
Right.
clear workplace policies,
Yeah.
and just having effective management.
Okay.
They even suggest that employers should have regular check-ins with their employees.
Like one-on-ones.
Yeah, especially with the ones who are doing really well,
Okay.
just to see how they're doing.
To see if they're happy.
Yeah, and to address any concerns they might have.
It's like being proactive can prevent bigger problems later on.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
All right, now on to the next factor that's driving the worker shortage.
Okay, what's that?
Excessive overtime
Yeah.
and not getting any days off.
Yeah, that'll do it.
The article does not hold back on this one.
Really?
They're calling out these crazy work schedules,
Like what?
especially in seasonal businesses
Yeah.
where 10 to 12-hour work days and no time off
Wow.
seem to be like the norm.
That's rough.
It is.
It seems like there's this big disconnect between what employers expect and what workers are actually willing to put up with these days.
Right, and we're seeing this in a bunch of different industries,
Totally.
but it's really bad in hospitality.
For sure.
So the author's basically comparing these crazy schedules
Right.
to that 5+2 work week.
The 5 days on, 2 days off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's becoming the standard in a lot of other fields.
It is.
And it just seems like a tough sell to convince someone to work in hospitality
I know.
when they could potentially have a much better work-life balance doing
Right.
something else.
Yeah, especially for the younger generations.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They really value that work-life balance.
I can imagine.
They're not willing to sacrifice their personal time.
Okay.
This is something the Croatian hospitality industry really needs to think about.
Especially those seasonal businesses.
Absolutely.
Okay, and now for the final factor contributing to this whole shortage,
All right, hit me.
the lack of professional development.
Oh, interesting.
The article argues that there just aren't enough opportunity. Really?
For people to, like, grow their skills and advance their careers.
You know, this is something I'm seeing everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
This need for continuous learning and development.
Right.
The idea of staying in one job forever, it's
Oh.
just not cutting it anymore.
Yeah.
Workers, especially younger ones,
Right.
they want to learn new skills,
Yeah.
take on new challenges,
that.
and feel like they're actually moving forward.
And the article talks about how frustrating it is
Oh, yeah.
for skilled workers to feel stuck
Totally.
in dead-end jobs with no room for growth.
It's like hitting a ceiling.
Yeah.
They don't feel valued, so
No.
they end up looking for employers who will invest in them.
I see. So then you get
And that's when you see the quiet quitting start.
quiet quitting.
It's when employees just mentally check out.
Oh, wow.
They might still be physically there, but they're
Right.
not really engaged anymore.
So the article is basically saying that if Croatian restaurants want to attract and keep workers,
They got to go beyond just offering higher wages.
it's got to be more than just a transaction.
It does.
It's about understanding that employees are people.
Yeah.
They have aspirations,
Mhm.
ambitions,
Right.
and they just want to feel valued and appreciated.
And it seems like the pandemic lockdowns were a real turning point
They were.
for a lot of these workers.
Yeah, a lot of them were laid off, even though their businesses were doing okay.
Even though they were doing okay.
Yeah, because of things like delivery services.
Wow.
And some of them had to survive on minimum wage,
Oh, man.
while their former employers were making good money.
That's just not right.
It's really not.
It feels like a betrayal
It
of
does.
their loyalty.
It's like the pandemic just exposed all these vulnerabilities
Yeah.
in the hospitality industry.
Oh, okay.
It showed how insecure those jobs really are,
Yeah.
how precarious their employment is,
Right.
and it highlighted the need for stronger worker protections.
It's like a wake-up call.
It was a wake-up call for a lot of people.
So you mentioned earlier that some workers might prefer those under-the-table payments
Right.
because it could mean more money in their pocket.
Yeah.
But after reading about what happened during the lockdowns,
Yeah.
it makes you think.
It makes you wonder if it's really worth the risk.
Exactly.
It's a tough question.
It is.
On the one hand, you need to survive,
Yeah, you got to put food on the table.
especially during a crisis.
Right.
But on the other hand, you're giving up that security.
Uh-huh.
You could be exploited,
Right.
and there are long-term consequences for your finances.
Yeah, the pandemic really forced people to think about those trade-offs.
It did.
And it sounds like a lot of Croatian hospitality workers
Yeah.
decided that it wasn't worth it anymore.
A lot of them did.
Like, they're not just switching restaurants.
Right.
They're leaving the industry altogether.
They're done.
Wow.
Yeah. We're seeing this as a lot of countries.
What is it called?
Some people are calling it the Great Resignation.
The Great Resignation.
Yeah, people are reevaluating their priorities.
Uh-huh.
They want more than just a paycheck.
Okay.
They want a sense of purpose,
Yeah.
security, respect.
And the hospitality industry is having to compete with that.
Exactly.
It sounds like a lot of them are struggling to adapt.
They are. It's a wake-up call.
Yeah.
But it's also an opportunity
Okay.
to reinvent themselves,
To do things differently.
to create a model that actually works for everyone.
So where do we go from here?
That's the big question.
We've looked at these 5 factors,
Yeah.
and there are no easy answers.
Not really, but
What?
recognizing how complicated it all is.
Uh-huh.
That's the first step.
Okay.
We can't just rely on quick fixes.
We gotta look
You
back.
need to address the root of the problem.
It's not just about raising wages
Right.
or offering more vacation days.
It's about a fundamental shift
Okay.
in how the whole industry operates.
Treat workers better,
Exactly.
with dignity and respect.
Yes, foster a culture of open communication, collaboration,
Yeah.
create opportunities for growth.
Professional development,
Exactly.
invest in employees.
Yes, invest in them as people.
Yeah.
Create an environment where they feel valued,
Right.
respected,
Yeah.
and empowered to do their best work.
You know, it makes me think about those restaurants we talked about earlier.
The ones in Dubrovnik,
Yeah, the ones who raised wages
Yeah.
and improved working conditions.
and they saw success.
Yeah, they did.
It's proof that it can work.
It can.
Yeah, those are the kinds of stories we need to be hearing more of.
They're inspiring.
They show that you can have a thriving business
Huh.
and still treat your employees fairly.
It's like a reminder that businesses aren't these isolated things.
No, they're part of a community.
Right.
Their success depends on the well-being of their employees.
And the community they serve.
Exactly.
It seems like the Croatian hospitality industry is at a crossroads.
It is a critical juncture.
Yeah.
The choices they make now,
Yeah.
they're going to have a lasting impact.
So let's take a closer look at the impact of the pandemic lockdowns.
Okay, let's do it.
Next.
It's like all these issues were simmering below the surface, and the lockdowns just brought everything to a boil.
Yeah, it's like the pandemic
Really?
ripped the Band-Aid off
Bubble.
and exposed all the
They
problems.
exposed all the cracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the article section on the lockdown effect
Oh, yeah.
really gets into this.
Okay.
And it seems like it wasn't just a temporary setback
Right.
for Croatian hospitality workers.
It wasn't.
It, changed their whole perspective.
It really did, yeah.
So those economic shockwaves
Yeah.
from the pandemic,
They were huge.
they really hit the global hospitality industry hard.
Yeah, globally.
And Croatia especially.
Croatia especially.
Businesses struggled,
Yeah,
jobs disappeared,
they do.
and a lot of workers were left in a really tough spot.
In a really precarious situation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the article shares some pretty heartbreaking stories
it does.
about workers who had been with a restaurant for years.
Like loyal employees.
Yeah, and then suddenly they're laid off.
Wow.
Or they're forced to survive on minimum wage.
And meanwhile,
Yeah,
the former employers are making bank.
Making bank.
Yeah, through delivery services and stuff.
That's messed up.
It really highlights how vulnerable those workers are.
It does.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking earlier about those under-the-table payments
Mm-hmm.
and how some workers might prefer that.
Right, for the extra cash.
Yeah, but after reading about what happened during the lockdowns,
Yeah.
it makes you wonder.
It makes you wonder if it's really worth it.
Yeah, is that short-term gain
Right.
worth the long-term risk?
That's the question.
It is.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It is.
It's a complex. Because on the one hand,
you need to survive.
you need to survive. You got to put food on the table.
Right,
Especially when everything's falling apart.
right.
But on the other
You're
hand,
giving up that security.
you're opening yourself up to exploitation.
Yeah,
And there are those long-term consequences.
for your finances.
Exactly.
And it sounds like a lot of Croatian hospitality workers
Yes.
kind of hit their breaking point after the lockdowns.
They'd had enough.
Yeah, and they start looking for new careers
Yeah.
in other fields.
In fields that felt more stable,
Yeah.
more secure.
And they weren't just switching restaurants,
Right.
they were leaving the industry completely.
They were done with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is happening in other countries too.
Oh, yeah. This is a global trend.
It's
Like the Great Resignation.
the Great Resignation. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
What is that exactly?
Well, it's basically people reevaluating their priorities.
Okay.
They want more than just a paycheck.
More than just a paycheck.
They want purpose,
They want meaning.
meaning.
Yeah, okay.
They want to feel secure in their jobs.
Yeah.
They want respect.
And the hospitality industry is having to adjust to that.
They have to, otherwise they'll keep losing people.
Right.
It's a wake-up call for them.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's also an opportunity.
It is an opportunity to change,
It'll get better.
to get better, to do things differently,
Yeah.
to create a system that actually benefits everyone.
So where do we go from here?
That's the million-dollar question.
We've talked about these 5
Yeah,
factors.
5 big factors.
And it's clear that there's no quick fix.
No, there isn't.
Okay.
But the first step is acknowledging the problem.
Acknowledging how complex it is.
Yeah, how deep it runs.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just throw money at it.
So it's not just about raising wages.
Right. It's not just about more vacation days.
It's got to be bigger than that.
It's got to be a fundamental shift
Okay.
in the way the whole industry thinks and operates.
So treat workers better.
Treat them with dignity,
Yeah.
with respect. Create a culture of open communication.
Yeah, where everyone feels comfortable speaking up.
Exactly.
Okay.
And create opportunities for them to grow,
To learn new things.
to learn, to advance.
Yeah.
It's about investing in employees
Investing in them as people.
as people, not just cogs in a machine.
Right.
Create an environment where they feel valued,
Appreciated.
appreciated, yeah,
Okay.
and empowered to do their best.
You know, it's funny thinking back to those restaurants in Dubrovnik.
The ones that raise wages.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They saw real success.
they did. They proved it can work.
It can.
Yeah,
So it's not just some idealistic dream.
no, it's a real possibility.
Yeah, it's like a reminder.
It's a reminder that businesses can do well
Mm-hmm.
and still treat their employees. Right.
It's like businesses aren't these islands?
No, they're part of something bigger.
Yeah.
They're part of a community
Right, and their success depends on the well-being.
of their employees.
Yeah.
Of the community.
Exactly.
It's all connected.
So the Croatian hospitality industry,
Yeah,
they're at a crossroads.
they are. It's a turning point.
Yeah, and the choices they make now.
The choices they make now are going to have a ripple effect.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Let's kind of recap the main points
Okay, good.
from this deep dive
Yeah.
into the Croatian hospitality worker shortage.
Okay, so we've seen how low wages,
Yeah.
those under-the-table payments,
Yeah.
toxic work environments,
Mm.
all that overtime,
Yeah.
and the lack of professional development opportunities, they're all contributing
Yeah.
to this big mess.
To this complex
That's
issue.
complex.
And we talked about how the
pandemic just threw fuel on the fire.
it really did.
Yeah.
And it eroded that trust.
Between workers and employers.
Yeah. And it pushed a lot of people to find new careers,
They just wanted something better.
something more stable.
Stable, yeah.
So it's a problem with a lot of different angles.
It is. It's multifaceted.
It is.
And the solution needs to be multifaceted, too.
You can't just slap a Band-Aid on it.
No, we need to address the root causes.
So it's not just about throwing money at the problem.
Right. It's not just about bigger paychecks.
It's about a real change in mindset.
A change in mindset, yeah.
Okay.
A move away from those exploitative practices
Yeah.
and towards a more human-centered approach.
Okay.
It's about putting people first.
Putting employees first.
Employees first, yeah.
Okay.
And building that trust.
That mutual respect.
That mutual respect, yeah.
It's about investing in employees,
Not just as workers,
but as human beings.
as human beings, exactly.
Creating an environment where they can thrive.
Where they feel valued,
Yeah.
respected,
Supported.
supported, empowered.
And ultimately,
Ultimately, it's about creating a more sustainable future
for the whole industry.
for everyone involved.
So it's about thinking long term,
Yeah, long-term sustainability.
not just chasing those short-term profits.
Right, exactly.
It's about building a workplace
Uh-huh.
where employees feel like they're part of something bigger,
Yeah, where they have a voice.
where they feel valued.
Valued, respected.
Yeah. And it's not just about the workers.
It's about the whole community.
Yeah. When workers are treated fairly
Uh-huh.
and they have a good quality of life,
Everyone benefits.
everyone benefits.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. It's like a ripple effect.
It is. It strengthens the local economy,
Okay.
improves the quality of service,
Yeah.
and it boosts the reputation of the whole industry.
It does.
A win-win.
It's like what's happening in Croatia.
Uh-huh.
It's a reflection of what's going on in a lot of places.
It is. It's a global trend.
Yeah.
Especially in places with big tourism industries.
So the challenges.
The challenges aren't unique to Croatia.
Okay.
The pandemic
Yeah.
that just kind of sped things up
Forced everyone to face reality.
to face the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe Croatia, they can turn this into an opportunity
Be a leader.
to show everyone how to do it right.
Exactly.
They've got all the ingredients,
The food,
nature.
natural beauty, it's
Yeah.
all there.
So if they can get this right,
They can set an example for everyone else.
they can show that it's possible to be successful,
And treat your employees well.
to prioritize people.
People first.
Yeah.
Always.
So as we wrap up this deep dive
Yeah.
into the Croatian hospitality worker shortage,
Yeah.
I want to leave everyone with this thought.
Okay, I'm listening.
The next time you're planning a trip to Croatia and
Yeah.
you're looking at those amazing pictures
Of the beaches,
of the restaurants,
the food.
the cafes,
Yeah, all of it.
take a second to think about the people
The people behind the scenes.
Yeah, the ones who make it all happen.
The chefs, the servers.
The bartenders, the dishwashers.
Everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who create those experiences.
They are.
The ones who make those memories.
They're the heart of it all.
And as you're enjoying those experiences, think about how you can support them.
How you can make a difference.
Choose restaurants that treat their employees well.
Yeah. Tip generously.
Talk about these issues with your friends and family.
Spread the word.
Because it's up to all of us.
It's a collective effort.
To create a better future.
For the industry.
For the workers.
For everyone.
So thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Into the worker shortage in the Croatian hospitality industry.
Yeah, it's a complex issue.
It is, but hopefully this conversation has given you some food for thought.
Some things to consider.
And maybe even inspired you to take action.
To be part of the solution.
It's been great having you here.
Thanks for having me.
And remember, the future of this industry.
It's in our hands.
Let's make it a future where everyone can thrive.
Let's do it.